Okay, so for the first step, we're going to go ahead and cut your covers for your book. The covers are going to be cut out of chipboard. Chipboard is a nice sturdy piece of, not really cardboard-like material, but it's nice and sturdy and thick, great for the covers of your book. There is professional bookbinding board that you could use instead. That is a higher quality, it's more archival, but chipboard will work just fine. Now, the materials that are helpful to have around for this are a cutting mat, which you'll see I have underneath the chipboard right here. So one of these cutting mats that you can safely cut over without hacking lines into the desk. A pencil, an eraser, a ruler, and I like to have a T-square. And then I just have an extra ruler that has like some non-skid backing on it. So we do have some of those in the classroom as well. All of these materials are available to you in the classroom. The only thing that you will probably have to ask me to retrieve for you is the chipboard. You will also need an X-Acto knife or a mat knife to cut as well, so just keep that in mind. Mine's just hiding under here. So all of those supplies are available in the classroom for you. Okay, so the dimensions of your covers are going to be a little bit bigger than the dimensions of your pages. Now, your pages need to be made out of paper that is the height of what you would like one page to be, and the width of the paper that you use for the pages needs to be double the width of one page. So you'll see that I have this folded in half. All of the papers that you use for the signatures for the pages in your book are going to get folded in half. That is how the sewing works. The sewing is actually going to go in and out of this center area of the page. So just keep that in mind. The most accessible paper for a standard size sketchbook is going to be 12 by 18 inch paper for a 9 by 12 inch sketchbook, which for your art classes, you're required to have a sketchbook that is about the size of copy paper. And so 9 by 12 is slightly larger, and it's a standard size for drawing paper that we have available to you. Okay, so keeping that in mind, make sure that you're able to get paper that is twice the width of what you would like the dimensions of the book to be, and then to measure your covers, they're going to be slightly bigger than the size of one page in your book. So since this is 9 by 12, I'm going to make each of the covers of my book 9 1/4 by 12 1/4. So that way there's just a little extra of edge on the cover to be able to sew the book together. Okay, I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my ruler. And I have a nice flush right angle corner here to start with. If I give you a piece of chipboard that does not have a nice 90-degree corner, you can use these mats to help you cut a 90-degree corner. You can use the T-square to help you cut a 90-degree corner. I would make sure that you start with a 90-degree corner first before measuring, because if you measure from a corner that's not 90 degrees, it makes it more difficult and you'll end up with crooked covers. Okay, so across this way, I'm going to go ahead and measure 9 1/4. And then, oops, put that back. And I'm going to make a little tick mark here. Okay, and then over from there, I'll measure 9 1/4 again for my second cover. So those will be right next to each other. And then I'm going to measure 12 1/4 this way for the height of my sketchbook. Okay, and then I'm going to take the T-square and just use that to make the lines that I'll be cutting on. So the T-square, just remember, anytime you want to use a T-square, the board has to be kind of running off of the edge of your desk a little bit, so that way the T-square can sit flush against the board. So the metal part is right flush against it, and then this is also flush against the edge of the chipboard. And so I'm just going to go ahead and match that up with the first tick mark that I drew. And then I'm seeing this 12 1/4, so I'm just going to, kind of go around that area. I could actually, if I shifted my T-square over, there is a 12 1/4 on this side of the T-square, but that's okay. I just need a line that's going to go perpendicular from the edge, and then I will rotate the chipboard and draw the 12 1/4 line as well. Okay, so these are the two widths. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw a height line at 12 1/4, I'm just going to connect this right across here. Okay. All right. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut. So for cutting, I like to use a roller that has no skid on the back of it. You need to make sure that your cutting mat is underneath the line that you're cutting. So I'm going to just go ahead and make sure this is underneath here, the entire area that I'm cutting. And I'm going to go ahead and put my non-skid ruler right flush against that line that I just drew. And then sometimes it does help to stand to do this step. So if you'd like to stand, go ahead and stand. Make sure that you have a nice sharp utility knife, or sometimes I call it a mat knife, or an X-Acto knife would be fine too. And then I'm going to start just a little bit above where I need to start cutting, just so that way I don't end up with any corners that stick. And when I cut, I just do nice, like light to medium pressure cuts repeatedly, because that helps me stay in control of where the knife is running through, so I'm less likely to have an accident or to end up with a piece that has a really like shredded, straggly edge on it. Just some things to keep in mind. Okay, and so I'm just going to continue cutting this.